This place, the last great Coliseum. This is, without a doubt, the granddaddy of them all. Love this place.
So the surface here is concrete all the way around. Prior to trucks getting on track yesterday, NASCAR and Bristol Motor Speedway applied the PJ1 track bike compound to the bottom 4 feet of the racetrack only. And that's what produced some really interesting racing here last night.
Yeah, and this is the way that we used to do this, and the goal to put that PJ1 instead of just the resin, with the PJ1 it lasts a little bit longer and allows, the reason they put the resin down is to try to get the rubber down on the racetrack. We remember last year, now we all loved it, the tires didn't last but about 35 laps and they had to manage their tires. But
it's not quite as temperature sensitive, this PJ1 versus a resin, and that's, again, you just said it's freezing cold here this weekend. I think that's a big reason why they did put it down this.
And the other goal is to make the bottom lane and the top lane more even, so as the race goes on, it gives you something other than just that top lane to have to follow a car. You can dive down to the bottom and make a pass, hopefully with the lanes being more even.
The last part of that conversation that I do love about this traction compound on the bottom is it eventually wears off. This track is forever changing. Throughout these 500 laps around this place, it will be changing for these competitors.
Now, the reason they put the track bike down is this track has progressive banking. The last time it was resurfaced with concrete, the top groove is banked several degrees more than the bottom groove. So, absent the traction compound, the top of the track would always be the fastest way around. Now, well, I guess you have choices. Got to make the most of them.
Yeah, it's not much, but it is a little bit more. What is it, 24 to 28 on the top?
All right, I bet it's flat where Regan Smith's standing.
Well, Mike, it's very loud where I'm standing. I can tell you that much right now. Of course, Bristol, one of the loudest tracks we come to. Tyler, fresh off a 4th place finish last week. A lot to think about in this practice section today. The traction compound, top, bottom, where you want your car to work the best. How do you prioritize that when you get out there?
Yeah, I think, obviously you want to figure out what your car's going to do on the bottom of the racetrack. That's what we're going to start. We do the thing tomorrow. So it kind of all depends on how much marble buildups on the racetrack. If it's clean, you'll be able to go up there and try it, but I would expect a lot of marbles up there for a bit. We'll see first.
All right, good luck in practice. Lay back to our crew chief. What do you got for us?
Well, Regan, it's Saturday and it's practice, and a lot of the agendas are the same. You've got 25 minutes, you've got one set of Goodyear tires, and here, running about 15 seconds a lap, if your car's good, you can run 80, 85 laps during this 25 minutes. But I think the biggest thing that guys were talking about is the traction compound in the bottom group. Right now, everybody's right around the bottom, but I think they know if you're going to win this race tomorrow, you have to run the bottom, never the top. The question, guys, who's going to be the first to venture up there and see what kind of grip at the top of the racetrack?
Look at Stenhouse's lap times right there at the top of the board. You see him at a 14.98, the first fastest lap. He's all the way down to a 16-second already, second off. Falling off, fall off's good.
Kyle Larson, second quick. Second in the truck race last night, the NASCAR Cup Truck Series. Trying for the triple. He's going to run the Xfinity race and the Cup race. Trying for the weekend sweep, but came up one spot short last night.
Stay on Larson for a second as I'm talking about him. I heard you, and I'm looking at his lap times overall on the long run. Really happy with what I see on this 5-car, Kevin.
Well, it doesn't take long to start making a bunch of laps, and as a driver, I always wanted to make a bunch of laps and get into that rhythm like we talked in the opening, but as you run this first run, you probably remember just being out of breath. It takes you a little bit to get the breathing and everything under control and get into a rhythm to be comfortable with the car. And that's really when you start to make those consistent lap times, which is what you need to do here. Be able to run. You want to run fast, but you need to be able to run consistently in the same spot.
So I saw one driver try the top a couple of laps ago. It was Noah Gragson. He came off turn number 2, and it looked like he stopped compared to the drivers that were wrapping the bottom. Larry?
Yeah, Mike, as we know, Kyle Larson in this 5 dominated this race in September, the last time we were here, led over 460 laps. And by lap 25 of the race, he had moved to the top. I talked to his crew chief, Cliff Daniels, this morning. They talked this week that they want to come here and try to make this 5-car run on the bottom. I know that's very uncharacteristic to Kyle Larson. He said, I know I can run the top. I need need to figure out how to run the bottom and run it consistently.
And watching him over the years, I agree with that statement. I mean, nobody gets around here on that outside line better than him. Saw it in the truck race last night. He caught Chandler Smith there at the end, but Chandler was holding a pretty wheel out there. He had nothing for him.
Ricky Stenhouse with the fastest individual lap. Second in the best 10 and best 15 consecutive lap rankings to Kyle Larson.
Yeah, like you said, Clint, it's pretty amazing that they fell off that second so quick.
I was watching it go through the corner right there. You see a lot of wheel in the car as they're going through that traction compound. Another thing that I've noticed is you can kind of see how it spreads out. Starts on the bottom. You see that bottom on the left side tires. It's blacker down there than it is on the outside where the right side tires go. But that's starting to move up there, and the right side tires are finding that grip as well. Speeds are high. Grip is high, confidence is high.
Yeah, and I like to run, especially in the traction compound down there. I always like to put the left side tire on that yellow line, especially from the 3/4 mark of the corner, 5/8 mark of the corner to the exit. It feels like it will tow that car around the corner when you hit it right. So bottom, you got to drive in a little bit easier, get that left front tire put on that yellow line, go back and rush as much partial throttle through the center of the corner, and as soon as you feel that car rotate, you'll be able to put that car down. You want to unwind the wheel off the bottom so that it doesn't have that snap loose.
And if you miss that, it's like you missed the track. And that thing is tight and plowing all the way through the corner, and you're like, man, I want to redo.
One thing that is not tight is the scoring pylon. It's half a second from top to near the bottom. That's a pretty big spread for here.
Yeah, it really is. Especially, I tell you what, for NASCAR in general, the lap times that we've seen the spread qualifying practice, doesn't matter if it's a 1.5 mile short track at Martinsville, they have been really, really tight. So good point there, Mike. I think it's a big part of this traction compound and the way cars are handling versus missing that bottom. You hook it might get loose. I think it kind of throws these teams for a loop. It's something different that their simulation can't simulate.
Kyle Larson ran 30 laps and pulled in as we watch Riley Herbst, who's currently 12th on the board.
Now, I'm a big fan, when that window of opportunity, there's not a rule change this year. Window of opportunity for all these teams narrows up. The simulation is perfected, and it just keeps honing in tighter and tighter and tighter. That's why you see these lap times as tight as they are. Throw something different at them, like this traction compound here at Bristol. Again, that simulation program doesn't know how much grip is in this racetrack, and it changes.
Look at his wheel right there, Clint. I've never seen somebody, we've got these kind of oblong, oval-shaped wheels now. They
It's
get
like it's been in a wreck already.
It's upside down. That's upside down from how you would typically